Hello, Journey family and friends. Pastor John and Pastor Dustin.
Good to see you today, sir.
Good to see you, my friend. Welcome to Midweek Conversations as we kind of head down the last of September here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't think it's the last Wednesday of September, but boy, we're getting close.
We are getting close, and time's flying. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, we're in the fall for sure, and got some fall events coming up here. We'll mention a little bit later on.
Yep.
But we continue to see God do some great stuff, man.
It's been incredible.
In so many good stories. If you didn't get a chance to hear Pastor Dustin's message, part 2 of a revision called "Serve the Hurting," and man, what a great distinction, Pastor Dustin, between serving and servant. I thought that was really good. Serving is when you're more in control and you pick when and where and how often.
Yep.
But servant is a whole different.
That's when the Father's in control.
Yeah. That was really good. That was some gold in that message, along with a lot of other good things Pastor Dustin shared. And once again, you shared some things you're praying through. Matthew 25,
the Matthew 25 initiative.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And as well as we had fun with I said it seriously that I think a mission partner on every continent, every inhabitable continent. And the fun was, I don't know about Antarctica. 1, there's nobody really there. And 2, man, that's cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the things that we'll be able to tell you that not everybody else knows, kind of a sneak peek where we're going this week too, is you and I were talking about that months ago, about the dream and the prayer of being on every inhabitable continent. And we started doing the math and we're like, well, we're not actually that far off.
Yeah, we're pretty well there.
With our mission partners, we're actually already there, and we're going to unveil that. And not just that, we're going to unveil how I think we could kind of see that prayer come to fruition possibly in 2023. God's already been working, and I'm excited to kind of unveil that.
I was wondering when you were going to say that.
I know. I'm going to unveil that.
You're keeping that back a little bit.
I am.
This is big news.
Because it goes with developing leaders is how I'm going to position it. Teasing you.
I wondered about that.
Teasing you.
Yeah, he's got some big news to share.
Yeah, we're excited.
In this weekend's message.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good deal. Hey, just a couple stories that we shared a little bit. First of all, you got some old teachers checking you out here. Sounds like, now when I say old teachers, I'm talking about his teachers that had you in school.
Yes.
You already talked to us about the PE coach that you had that's been coming to Journey, but you said this past week. Tell them that story.
Yeah, so we had some really cool baptisms, a lot of great baptisms, so we'll get into some of those.
Right.
But 2 of them, brother and sister, gave their lives to Christ at the back-to-school bash. And they came, they gave their life to Christ. And just like normally in a baptism, more family rallies around that to come and support. And this is the little family. And the grandmother of the 2 kids that got baptized, the grandmother, she approaches me in the atrium, and she comes up to me and she goes, "Do I look familiar?" And I looked at her and I go, "Do I look familiar?"
Good, which is a great response. Yeah.
I don't know where we're going with this.
Yeah.
And she said, "Lockhart Elementary.
Whew.
I was your teacher." Now listen.
Did you have some bad flashbacks?
Well, my first thought was this. Okay, I have 3 brothers, and we look a lot alike, and people would naturally get us confused. And especially from that long ago, I'm hoping it's one of them. I don't want to. So I said, "Well, I have 3 brothers." I explained that, and she said, "Well, are you Dustin?" And I said, "Oh boy,
can't deny that one, can you?"
I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." She goes, "Yep. I was your teacher."
How about that?
So we have my old PE coach, from Lockhart Elementary, and now I believe it was my 2nd grade teacher. I'm not 100% sure. We were trying to figure that out. And so...
you can't remember your 2nd grade teacher?
I can't. Unfortunately, or maybe
Mine was
fortunately,
Miss Betty.
I don't know.
Mine was Miss Betty Hamilton.
So
I can name all my teachers.
So my job from this point on is to take some of these people from my elementary and middle school days and keep them as far away from the elders as possible, because they got some stories that are making me a little nervous, Pastor John.
You need to email me.
Oh, boy.
If you, any former teachers of Dustin or coaches of Dustin out there, just you email me and your information's safe with me.
So we had a little
That's awesome.
fun
I bet
down
you did.
memory
Yeah.
lane, and it was sweet moment with a beautiful family just celebrating their baptism.
Is that John and Rachel Little? Is it the Little family you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
John and Rachel?
Yes,
the mom?
sir.
Okay, cool. He said he went to school with you.
Yeah. Isn't that wild? So that's kind of, so he and I talked for a long time about, we played baseball together. We had all these different
And
connections.
he shares your love for the Gators.
He does. Oh, he wears it.
He wears it every Sunday.
He shows up to
in
church.
season, out of season.
He shows up to church every Sunday wearing his Sunday best.
Exactly.
All Gator gear.
Yeah, that's John.
That's a good dad.
Well, you mentioned students being baptized, and some great stories this past week. I spoke to the high school students.
I was going to mention
last week, and Josh Tiaga told me, he said, "Hey, these three students are going to be baptized this week." And one of the things that you heard us talk about the back to school bash that we had about three Wednesdays ago. 72 middle school and high school students gave their life to Christ, said they want to follow Jesus. Well, obviously part of following Jesus means they're going to be baptized at some point, and that's what we're seeing.
That cool.
We're starting to see the residual effect of that. And
every weekend.
You said like 5, what is there, 5 students baptized this past week?
5, I believe there was a total of 6 or 7, and I think 5 students
and
out of
Caleb Conley baptized, huge shout out to Caleb.
Yep.
Great leader for students, husband of Cassie A. Conley on our staff. Caleb baptized
one
some
of our
students.
worship leaders as well.
Exactly.
So
on
got
the
off the
platform.
worship platform into the water platform.
Bella.
Yep.
Clifton. She leads a group as well.
Yep.
She baptized someone.
Isn't that cool?
Very cool.
I was watching.
Great stories.
I was watching Caleb baptize 3 gentlemen, and I was standing off to the side, and it's where some of the parents were taking photos, and one of the dads just before the baptisms just said, "Hey, I don't go to church," and he said, "But if your church is anything like what you just preached, I'm going to start coming to Journey." Yeah, and I thought, I'm
so glad you shared that.
That cool?
That's so good.
And here's the thing: when we talk about serving the hurting, that's actually what people outside the church expect the church to do.
Yeah.
That's all, that's their main thing. Isn't that what you're about?
Yeah.
And so that's what he was kind of getting at. He's like, man, if this is what y'all are really about, I want to be a part of this. And I thought, man, that was cool.
You remember the Tony Campolo Agnes story? Remember, it's kind of a classic Tony Campolo writer several years ago, Christian sociologist. He's an interesting and dynamic guy. And he tells about being in Hawaii, and he's at a diner late at night because the time changed. He couldn't sleep, and a group of prostitutes come in. And one of them shared that it was her birthday. And so Tony asked the guy that ran the place, the chef, he said, "Hey, these ladies come in here?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "They come in here about every night." He said, "Well, we're going to throw a little birthday party for the one, Agnes." And so the next night they come in, Campolo's there again. He has a cake. They throw a birthday party for this prostitute named Agnes. And this guy looks at him and he said to Campolo, he says, "Who are you?" He said, "What do you do?" He said, "Well," he said, I'm a pastor, and I'm a part of a church that throws birthday parties for prostitutes at 2 a.m. And the guy said this, the guy behind the counter, he said, "No, you're not." He said, "There's no church exists. There's no such church like that." He said, "Because if there was, I'd join it."
Oh, that's good.
And that's a little more dramatic.
Yeah.
But when you have a dad tell you, "Hey, if that's the kind of church that's going to serve hurting people and be for the people on the margins, I want to be a part of that."
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, Pastor John spoke last Wednesday to our high school students, and I heard my daughter loved it, but I heard so much other great feedback, and what a cool treat for you to be able to do that. I know that was exciting for you, but they were blessed.
So as you see that picture, I started out the message, I said, "Hey," I said, I was walking through the worship center and I found this sweet UK jacket on the floor. And I thought, what is that about? How cool is this?
He was
so I just had to
thing.
pick that up and had to put it on.
That was Joseph's new dream coat. That's what it is. He was shining.
Hey, they were great, and they listened really well. They said it was helpful. I trust that it is, and so that was great. Just God's doing so many good things in our student ministry, and in our next gen ministry as a whole.
Life group started back for student ministry
big
as
deal.
well last week, and we talk about next steps. Baptism's the next step, but so is life groups.
Yeah.
And you got all these new believers that
Rooted
don't know
started
anything.
last Thursday night.
Rooted started last with a big crowd.
Big crowd.
And so we got all these opportunities where people are being discipled, and man, it was great. But you had a great observation at high school ministry that you shared with us about kind of, we had a back to school bash in the past.
Yes.
Kind of share a little bit.
Yeah, so back to school bash is something really Pastor Dustin brought here when he came as our family pastor, and one of your first hires was Christian Wilson.
Yep.
And Christian became our high school leader, high school pastor. And so Dustin said, we're going to do this back to school bash, and Christian really led it. But we did it in Adventureland Theater. And you were there. I was there that night. I remember being in the back of the room, and about the same amount of people that attended that back to school bash, which is kind of like an Easter attendance for, it's like
we
the
were
biggest.
over the moon with it several years ago.
Yeah, and it was like 120 students that showed up. We thought it was great. And this past Wednesday night, I was standing in the back of the room watching all these students worship. And I told Tammy Joseph, I said, Tammy, you remember when Christian did his first back to school bash? I said, the crowd that's here tonight on Wednesday night, that was our back to school bash
just
a few years ago.
Wednesday night.
It's a normal Wednesday night now.
Isn't that cool?
To see 114, 120 students come out.
That's really cool.
It was a great moment.
One of the other cool stories that we saw is another baptism.
Yes.
A gentleman named John.
Yes. Yeah.
And John, some of you may remember the past couple of weeks we've shared about Pelsey from the Boogie Town Bronx.
Boogie Down Bronx.
Boogie Down Bronx.
That's Pelsey.
That's her username.
That's her, yeah, exactly.
Because she watches faithfully every week on our Journey online campus. And so about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, she came down here, visited for the first time. She's been following for several years. Well, she didn't want to come alone. She said, hey, my brother lives in Claremont. Let me bring him.
Yeah.
And then not only did God kind of begin to stir something in John, God began to stir something in Pastor Randy too.
Yeah.
And Pastor Randy, and this is what we love about Pastor Randy, got a hold of him and they started doing a Bible study. And before you know it, John's like, man, I need to give my life to Christ. I need to get baptized.
Yeah.
And so this past Sunday, we saw John get baptized, and I knew he had some medical history, but Pastor Randy shared as he baptized him. I didn't realize this. He shared it, and so this is public. He said, John has stage 4 cancer, and he was told he had 5 months to live, but that was 30 months ago.
30 months ago, wow. Over 2 years ago, 5 months to live.
And one of the cool things is that we pray for 30 more. We pray for 30 years more. But one of the cool things I can't help think is that God wanted him to get to this point.
Yeah, that's great.
And so, John, we celebrate with you. We pray for you. But that was a really special, special moment.
Pelsey, I'm sure she watches these midweek conversations too.
Yeah.
So that's such a great story. And again, the power of what our online ministry can do.
Yeah.
It's real ministry. I mean, people think it was virtual, people are watching on screen. No, it's real ministry, and real lives are being changed.
Yeah, and it's, I told Pastor Harvey, I said, Pastor Harvey, you have a online journey evangelist.
There you go.
Is what's happening.
Yeah.
And Pastor John's right, online works. You watch your movies online and it works, so online works.
Yeah.
It works. You weren't with us this past Sunday.
Yeah,
you had a special Sunday yourself.
Exactly. I was going to tell a little bit about that. We, Melinda and I had a chance to go down to the grand opening of Soflo Church. And this is the church plant that Journey is a major supporter of. And it's down in West Palm Beach. Pastor Jamie Snyder, and his wife Alex, and their 4 kids all moved down about a little over a year ago.
Yep.
And only maybe only someone in my position can appreciate what Pastor Jamie gave up.
Yes.
He was a pastor of a church that ran a few thousand people, had 3 different locations. He was the lead guy and doing a great job. And he decided to he felt like God called him to come to Florida and plant a church. And it just kind of started over. And
they've been busy because opening day looked incredible.
It was great. We were there for the 9:30 service. You can see by this picture, it was pretty full. So there was a church, a Christian church, that gave their building. They kind of shrunk down and weren't going to be able to make it. And so they said, you know what, we're just going to give this asset to CFR, Christian Financial Resources, one of our ministry partners. And the head of our church planning group from CFR, Florida Church Partners, Jeff Swearingen, began to work with Jamie about coming and getting that church open. CFR gave him a loan to renovate the buildings, and it was nice, clean, fresh
really
painted, new new bathroom fixtures. I mean, it was really nice. Just knew everything, and they had 350. And for a church plant, the grand opening, that's huge.
That is
350
huge.
For their very first Sunday. So,
That's
Pastor
awesome.
Jamie, good on you, man. Your team, I met a lot of his team. Some great folks, some great volunteers, another diverse congregation that we're seeing in South Florida. So, Journey, you're a part of that because of your faithful giving, our missions and our mission giving. We're able to support church plants like Soflo. And I told Jamie, I said, I want to look back years from now and say, I was there the first day that church started, because I think God's going to do something really special at Soflo under Pastor Jamie's leadership. So it was really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, a couple of things we want to tell you about coming up. One, you'll hear a little bit more about this week, but Next Gen Ministry, Fall Fam Jam.
Yes.
Fall Fam Jam's coming up.
Fall Fam Jam's one of those strategic events that, one, your family will love, but we don't do it just for your family.
Right.
We do it because it's a strategic opportunity to reach out to your neighbors, friends, coworkers that may never come to church on a Sunday morning, but they might come on a Friday or Saturday night. And then through loving on them and connecting with them, then we can extend them.
And that's just at the Apopka campus? Or
No,
is it at both?
we're gonna do
Apopka
both.
and Lake County?
One, it's Friday night at Apopka, I believe. You can see it online here, and then Saturday night in Lake County.
Nice. Okay, so Fall Fam Jam's coming up, and then we got a big serve day.
Yes, sir.
Serve
October
day.
29th is our big serve day.
Last Saturday of October.
And signups are open for that.
Yep.
And we do need you to sign up. It's free, but that helps us prepare how many locations we go to. I believe last time we did it, we had, I hope I'm not exaggerating, I think we had like 400, 450 people.
Right around 400.
18, 19 locations. And it's one of my favorite days in the year. And to be able to see so many different people serve. You don't have to be a member of Journey. You don't even have to go to Journey. It's just a great opportunity for us to stack hands, come alongside the community and say, hey, we're with you and we're for you. And we just talked about serving the hurting, and this is a great opportunity. Not every serving location is hurting.
Right.
We serve schools, but every location we go to could use a source of encouragement.
Sure.
And just saying, hey, we're with you as a church community. And so want to encourage you to go ahead and sign up. You have the link on the screen. Love for you to be a part of that.
I think your heart for leading a serving church, it fits so well with Serve Day, so it comes right. I see it really well aligned with your vision that you're sharing about serving the hurting, but just serving in general.
Yeah.
I think that's great. So that's coming up. You're going to wrap up.
Yes, sir.
Revision this Sunday, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. So a lot of people, when we talk about a new vision and we roll out 3 things, so the first thing we talk about is reach out to love your neighbors. People are like, okay, I saw that coming.
Yeah.
Then we talk about serving the hurting. They're like, okay, I saw that coming.
Yeah.
Those aren't abnormal, but I think maybe not everyone would see this coming. Not every church has this calling, but I think our unique distinction is to raise up, to develop leaders for ministry. And it's something that I'm passionate about, and there's a personal story on why. It's something we've been doing for years now. Yeah. It's something that you've had a heart for to see come to fruition, and just the lack of margin on your plate. But now it's becoming something that we've seen not only through the residency, but with volunteers, with staff, and we want to unveil some things. And what might be and could be in the future, my prayer is that God would allow Journey to be a factor where we raise up, we develop people, and send them out. And send them out might mean to the mission field. It might mean to the office complex. It might mean to the apartment. It might mean to the third service at Apopka. Who knows where the sending out is, but that is the Great Commission.
To a future campus.
To a future campus, amen. We can't expect to launch a future campus down the road if we're not currently developing leaders. That's just poor stewardship.
Yeah.
And so we're excited to dive into week 3 of Revision.
Well, the past two messages, Pastor Dustin has just hit it out of the park. He's just done great with those messages. I believe this will be the best message because I believe this resonates deep within you. I think this is part of your leadership DNA is developing leaders. I saw that as soon as you showed up here. You did the residency program and everything I've seen the last 5 years working with you. This is what you're most I don't want to say most passionate about, but you're definitely passionate about this. And I think that'll come out on Sunday, and you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be a great message called Developing Leaders for Ministry, the last bucket, so to speak, the last part of Pastor Dustin's revision series of what he is praying about for the next 3 years by 2025 to see some things. It's been great, man.
Thank you.
It's really been good. It's needed. And I'm excited. Next week, we're going to tell you how we're going to follow up this vision talk with some provision talk.
Amen.
And,
I like it.
I think that'll be really good. So join us this Sunday at Apopka at Lake County or online, 9:30, 11:15 a.m. We'd love to have you worship with us, connect with us in any way that we can help you. Hey, one other thing we want to do before we wrap up, we mentioned Pelsey earlier in the conversation. She was actually here a couple weeks ago, and we did a brief interview with her. Chandra from our staff, who really interacts with her and has for the past 2 years or so. So Chandra and Pelsey, and take a look at this as we wrap up. And just thanks for joining us. As always, we're loving the journey.
This is Pelsey from the Boogie Down Bronx. I've been following Journey for the last 2.5 years online, and this is my first time at Journey. I finally got to meet my Journey family and my girl Chandra, who I was so overwhelmed when I laid my eyes on her. And I automatically knew Pastor John by his hair, just like mine.
My name is Chandra, and I'm the online admin, and Pelsey and I have been talking since March 2020, and we don't just talk on Sundays, we talk during the week as well, and to finally get to meet her has been overwhelming and just such a blessing to finally get to meet in person who I've been talking with for so long, and it couldn't have happened without online. We wouldn't have been able to have that connection, and it's just been an awesome day.
She prays for me and my family, and there's been times where I've been really down and low, and this young lady down here, has brought my spirits up. I'm so happy because I never really thought that I would make it because I have a condition that affects my body. There's times I can't get out of bed, and all I was doing was pray to God and say, please, God, let me meet my Journey family. And it came true. And I'm so happy. I thank you, Chandra, from the bottom of my heart. I truly do.